Hello, my name's John Mills. Today I want to look at a particular type of colligation, the prepositional colligation. Colligation is the point where words, syntax and meaning overlap. A colligation is a multi-word lexeme that involves a particular syntactic construction. Prepositions serve two functions. Firstly, they serve a denotational function. In other words, they convey meaning in their own right. Secondly, they serve a syntactic function. Let us first look at the denotational function. One way that prepositions typically carry meaning is to denote location. This is the core meaning of prepositions. Waren board, on the table, en daden aan boord, under the table, and so on. Regarding the syntactic aspect of prepositions, we should consider firstly the composition of the prepositional phrase, and secondly the function of the prepositional phrase within the larger context. Using the examples that we looked at earlier, we see that the prepositional phrase consists of two elements, the preposition itself and some sort of completive element. In these examples, the completive element is a noun phrase, and board. Within the larger context, a prepositional phrase might function within a noun phrase to qualify a noun. For example, Acheson Avernans Christ, a reason for Christ's death. Alternatively, the prepositional phrase may function as an element of the clause. For example, in the sentence De vedis on Byzantier, we have reached dry land, the prepositional phrase Byzantier functions as a locative complement. In these examples, the colligation consists not only of the noun Acheson, plus a preposition or subordinating conjunction, but also the type of completive in the prepositional phrase. Thus, Acheson a, reason for, is followed by a noun phrase. Pilat avinascritha avernans Christ Acheson. Pilate wanted to write a reason for Christ's death. Acheson the, reason to, is followed by a verbal noun. Na allens kaphos kezon, the rethel krothval, that they may not find a reason to grumble. Acheson mai, reason why, is followed by a non-finite clause. Enna pilatagausis in dalma than etheron, min in one bonus kiphis in Denmar bith Acheson, my risivonas levis. Then Pilate spoke thus to the Jews, I do not know that any reason is found in this man for which he has to be killed. The lexical unit is a form-meaning composite that represents both the lexical form and a single meaning of a lexeme. In this illustration, the lexeme or dictionary headword mires has 5 lexical units. In the first lexical unit, mires is translated as look or see. So, miavin mors the virus, I will go to look. Despite there being 2 English translation equivalents for mires, look and see are in this context synonyms. The second lexical unit, mires orth, is translated as consider. So, miru worth an vorvoren, hanter pisk ha hanter dane. Consider the mermaid, half fish and half man. The colligation mires orth, comprised of two words, is here translated by the single word consider in English. Mires the is translated as look after or watch over. So, Maria weg mir the les, dear Mary, watch over his interests. Mires rag is translated as seek or look for. So, the wheeler ha the mires rag to look for. And finally, mires war is translated as observe. So, dyn ni the virus, scone waran wanasigi, let's go and observe the workman at once. In this example, each lexical unit has its lexical form. Mires, mires orth, mires the, mires rag, or mires war, and each lexical unit has a single meaning. The lexical unit straddles the constituents of the clause. In this example, Devedus on bisin includes all of the verb phrase, but only the preposition of the prepositional phrase. There are several types of prepositional colligation. Verb followed by prepositional phrase, noun followed by prepositional phrase, adjective followed by prepositional phrase, or preposition followed by noun phrase. Let us look at some examples of verb followed by prepositional phrase. Dorsvesa is translated get out of. Thus in Llywyd's Archaeologia we find Ni vidden never dorsvesa gundan. He'll never get out of debt. Dorsbisin is translated reach, come to, or arrive at. Thus in Bewnans Moriazic we find Devedus on bisin tir, we have reached dry land. Dors Erbyn is translated meet. Thus in Passion Agan Arlath we find Ivam Hweg Maria win, Pub festina array my hala dors wari bin, Imab chemis agara. His sweet mother, Blessed Mary, was hurrying all the time so that she could meet him, her son, whom she loved so much. Dors August is translated approach or draw near. Thus in Llywyd's Archaeologia we find propinquo, to approach or draw near, Cornish Dors August. Dors rag is translated advance. Thus in Bewnans Moriazic we find Dies ragmar quick delvini, advance as quickly as you like. And Dors war is translated attack. Thus in Bewnans Moriazic we found Ausudras dun warnether, my soldiers attack them. Here are some examples of prepositional colligations with the verb delivra. Delivra a is translated set free from, liberate, deliver, or free from. Thus in Bewnans Moriazic we find Miath delerf an prison, I shall set you free from the prison. Delivra in is translated insert, place in, or put in. Thus in Passion Agan Arlath we find Han grows of aid rehevis, ha Jesus fastes inni, han pen golus delivras in toll otelis rigthi. And the cross was raised with Jesus fastened on it, and the bottom inserted in a hole which had been drilled for it. Delivra dre is translated delivered by. Thus in Tregear's homilies we find Nieve raised in Nemeseria, an order in traditions, deliveris stredens, e then re arellen e commitia, an order and eglos thither. We ought to follow then the order in the traditions delivered by those to whom we commit the regulation of the Church. Delivra the nabonnen is translated deliver to somebody, surrender to somebody, or hand over to somebody. Thus in Passion ag an Arlath we find in medd Jesus, nin jugi, almesterngus in bisma, hegapay, au thieves the we, nim der leerfsens in delma. Jesus said, my dominion is not in this world, and if it were, my men would not have delivered me to you in this way. However, deliver the nepith is translated deliver from something or save from something. Thus in Tregear's homilies we find we ara cluas an exceeding mercy a thu fatal riga delivera mabdain dre merveles manner then stat a thamnation. You will hear the great mercy of God, that he saved mankind wonderfully from the state of damnation. And here are some examples of prepositional colligations with the verb Prena. Prena a is translated by with. Thus in Passio Domini we find Gwerthens I hig, the brenner, another thodo clever. Let him sell his cloak to buy with it for him a sword. Prena de worth is translated by from. Thus in Passio Domini we find Hamias pren the worthis, otter and mona paris they sow the pay, and I shall buy it from you. Here is the money ready to pay you. Prena the nabonnen is translated by for someone. Thus in Passion ag an Arlath we find Angefo Powers has Gwyrthens havobo pernus clever. Let him who has a cloak sell it, and buy himself a sword. Prena rag is translated by for a reason. Thus in Passion ag an Arlath we find Tia Maria Claire Hachwar Aveth and beth leveris haganza ointment heb pa rag corf Jesus o prenis. 3 Marys, pure and humble, came to the said grave, bringing ointment without equal, which had been bought for the body of Jesus. Alternatively, Prena rag is translated suffer or be punished for a fault or act of wrongdoing. Thus in Passio Domini we find Gawa leveran Jowden, Evan pren racint Jovin. The scoundrel speaks a lie, he will pay for it by Saint Jovin. Next, let us look at some examples of noun followed by prepositional phrase. Prower nepeth is translated profit from something. Thus, in Passio Domini we find harlot gainst the whethlo, another teenivith prow, O knave, with your tales, you will have no profit from them. Yender the is translated cold in. Thus in Passio Domini we find rag rem fe, rag ewen anwos, ni gleweth yender them tros. For by my faith, on account of very chilliness, I do not feel the cold in my feet. Aun the wheel nepeth is translated fear of doing something. Thus, in Passion ag an Arlath we find I thou scriffis bors eleth worth the weetha rag aun, you thom the sevis the draws worth main the dotcha. It is written of you that Angels are guarding you for fear you are going to stumble by striking your foot on a stone. Next, let us look at some examples of adjective followed by prepositional phrase. Angry gansnabonnen is translated angry with someone. Thus in Tregear's homilies we find Penagol avo angry gansi brother, ever vith in danger adjudgment. Whoever is angry with his brother will be in danger of judgment. Busy the nabonnen is translated important for somebody. Thus in Passio Domini we find busy you thiuch bones war. It's important for you to be cautious. Envious Erbyn nabonnen is translated jealous of someone. Thus in Jordan's creation we find envious of Erbyn, I am jealous of him. And finally, here are some examples of colligations in which prepositions are followed by noun phrases. Erbyn natur is translated unnaturally or extraordinarily. Thus in Passion Agan Arleth we find Avernans Christ, Panwelza Knivatra Marthusi, Han Enef Del Dascorsa, Erbyn nater Gansen Cree Iliveris. When he had seen so many marvels concerning the death of Christ, and how he had unnaturally yielded up his soul with a cry. Erbyn reson is translated contrary to logic or illogical. Thus in Berenan's Mariasic we find Erbyn reson nuan bees hag has goreth thimo cres bones flo vith conservis in breeze benen heb aware. Believe me, it is illogical that on earth, without the seed of man, any child should be conceived easily in a woman's womb. Erbyn soper is translated for supper. Thus in Passio Domini we find Imabuz lower certain, obma sur Erbyn soper. There is surely enough food here for supper. The Gorhemmyn nabonnen is translated at your command. Thus in Origo Mundi we find Ia they theth Gorhemmyn, they will come at your command. A Gorhemmyn nabonnen is translated by someone's command. Thus in Passio Domini we find Longis resu thee skinna, Idden Pauls bien Laveria, Tre Gorhemmyn and Justice. Longinus, you need to walk a little by the justice's command. Aras is translated worthy or virtuous. Thus in Passion Agan Arleth we find Da iwon ivos aras, well I know that he is worthy. Dreras is translated by virtue of. Thus in Passion Agan Arleth we find Dreras and goes ichuelas Jesus Christ delo dichtis. By virtue of the blood he saw how Jesus Christ had been treated. Aver spes is translated soon. Thus in Passio Domini we find Lavra thimo aver spes, tell me soon. Rag klem is translated in defence. Thus in Resurrectio Domini we find Mia lever these rag klem, I say to you in defence. The learner faces a difficulty to know which preposition is required in prepositional colligations. For is translated a in the phrase Achezon Avernans Christ, a reason for Christ's death. For is translated rag in the phrase mires rag, look for. For is translated the in Angefo pausas guervins hadobo pernus clever. Let him who has a cloak sell it and buy it for himself a sword. And for is similarly translated the in busy you diuch bones war. It's important for you to be cautious. For is translated Erbyn in the phrase Imabuz lauer certain of Monsieur Erbyn soper. There is surely enough food here for supper. That concludes my talk. Thank you for listening.